I think I don't know. It looks like he's in.
Yeah, let's see what's happening here. Can you hear us, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on? That
Ah, there we
doc?
go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, all right, all right.
Yes, sir. Sylvester, how you doing, brother? And I got my other brother Jasper right here.
Yes, sir. What's good, fam?
Okay, what's good, Jasper? I got my two sons right here since it's kind of a legacy type of thing. They found out the same time that I found out about the video. So I want to introduce my sons here. Give me a sec. Uh, that's Cameron Bracey and Sylvester Bracey. That's my oldest and my youngest.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, brothers?
Nice to meet y'all, man.
All right, all
Nice to
right,
meet you too.
all right. So I'm back and we can get it cracking.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's good to hear from you. Our people's Dane Uno, spoke of you very well, man. Glad to have you here.
Oh man, it's an honor and a privilege to be on your show. Dane, that's my man. I know him since we were little boys, little boys. And but to be here and to be able to speak on my father's behalf, man, this whole thing is so humbling. I'm assuming you in New York, right?
I'm in Jersey.
You in Jersey, okay? You in
Mhm.
New Jersey. We are doing an interview with somebody in New Jersey about our father, man. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Jasper's in the DMV area. I'm in
Yep,
Jersey.
yep.
You're in the
Okay.
Midwest. We making it connect, man.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's good stuff.
One thing I want to say is I'm very very proud that one of our veterans, one of our OGs, our brothers in green, brothers in arms, um, was there to stand up and speak on something that really still kind of goes on to this day. Um, we don't 100% get the whole full fair shake, but I can imagine. I can only imagine back then, as hard as it was. And I'm pretty sure that he's given you so many jewels and so many stories after the fact. And we just wanted to hear your take on it and
Okay.
and see what it was 100%, because a clip can only give us so much when you're the seed, you're the namesake, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, you're right on, 100% right on with that. It was real over there, man, because that interview actually took place in 1969, and that's actually one of several interviews that he did. And like I said, we did an interview the other day with ABC, and one of the things I told them is that what was so kind of emotional for me when I first saw the video was that my father, when I was in my 20s, I have another brother that's a year older than me, and I have a cousin. My father was schoolers, and we'd be having little sit downs, very similar to like the one him and the brothers on the video were doing. We'd be talking about the state of the world and what we gonna do and how we gonna combat some of the racism and stuff that we see out here in the world. And my father would tell us that there's these videos out here, these interviews that I did over there in the Nam, and you guys need to see it. You need to hear, because I was talking some real good stuff. And we searched and searched, we never found those videos. But my father caught a lot of heat for that, man. He didn't rise in the ranks with the United States Marines really high, but amongst the brothers, he became like an unspoken leader for the brothers. So the United States Marines, they wasn't cool with that. So he became a problem. So they made it very difficult for him over there, even including trying to actually arresting him over there when he was over in the Nam. And for some garbage they said that took place on the base that he didn't do, but they wanted him because they knew that he was a leader of the people. And if you see on the video, it was a lot of brothers on there, but he was kind of like the nucleus of the bunch, and they wanted to silence him. So he told me that even once he came back to Chicago, when he got out of the NOM, he said he got out in 1970, for the next 25 years, every time he moved to a different apartment or a different house or something, he said within about a week and a half, Secret Service type, FBI type guys would show up in cars, unmarked cars around his house watching him. He said that happened for about 20 to 25 years. And around 95, he said they stopped. I guess they figured he hadn't done anything in 25 years. He wasn't no threat, but man, it was real. It's really real. They do not like that type of talk, but he wouldn't be silenced because he was a man for the people. He had something to say. If you've seen that little video, he had something to say, and that's how he spent his life.
Wow.
It's definitely a very, hard story to hear, from end to end, that, a man has to live his life, practically captive. There's no freedom in that, anywhere. Nobody wants to, go home and look out their window to just see people staring there. And the crazy part is, that they're going to be there when you go to it. Like, that's just not, the life, especially for anybody that served in their country. It's kind of sad. If you ever go to VA hospitals, across America, it's kind of like, a common unfortunate truth that a lot of veterans, at least say amongst each other, hey, look, we're not getting the right treatment, and I think, just to kind of hear that it's just a big testament to, just how much we really need to kind of get it together, where our priorities lie. Our country spends a lot of money, in the Department of Defense, and then it's unspoken, but, the budget times 3 goes towards, the operatives, like what you just mentioned, people that are doing off the record work and everything. And that's kind of where I feel like, we put that into, treating our veterans that way, after they put so much on the line. And then not to mention too, the families connected to those veterans, go through so much that people don't even think about it. Like my dad, he was served in the military. Doc, he has parents that served. Like, literally, you hear about the treatment towards the veterans, but what about the wives? What about the kids? What about, those people that, are being affected by, hearing that their dad, was pretty much, under so much scrutiny, because you get repercussions too as a dependent to that person as well. It's pretty rough, to say the least.
That whole Vietnam scene, it actually changed the whole course of his life. And I'll give you an example. He and my mother were sweethearts since 7th grade. And he went over to Vietnam, and then he came back in 70, and I was born in 71. But Vietnam did have an impact, like a lot of the other brothers that come back from the war. He had the nightmares, and it was different. And my mother and he they got married in 70, but by the time I was 2 years old, they were divorced. And everything was super sweet before Vietnam.
Right.
It had an impact, and I won't say it was the end of their relationship, but it definitely impacted it. My father came back a different man, and then he's always been had a militant side to him, but he had a little more anger. I mean, the war changes you, and then he's dealing with the way the United States received or didn't receive them when they come back. And again, this is 69, 70. It's not super sweet now, but it really wasn't sweet back then, And so, it definitely had an impact on my family, whereas from 2 years old to 20 years old, I didn't live in the same house with my father. You know, he would visit from time to time, and he was going out. You know, he remarried. He have another sister named Asia Bracey. I have an older sister too, also Nikita Morrow. But yeah, man, the war was a pivotal point in his life. But here's the main thing: my father ended up dying December 7th, 2019, and it was from heart disease. But what happened was his kidneys went bad. When his kidneys went bad, his liver ended up going bad. And when his liver went bad, things just messed up. It just got messed up in his heart. Had leaky valves in his heart, and heart disease is what killed him. But when he finally got some assistance from the VA, they found out that the kidney in part went bad because of being exposed to Agent Orange. So he's over there dealing with this racism. He still got to deal with the Vietcong. You got to survive. You got to come home, and they sent him home with a package. You know, that Agent Orange had something to do with his kidney going out, and that's what took him out. So you're doing all this. Literally, you died for this country. In this country where you can't even wear your dashiki, or you can't wear your wrist jewelry if it's Afrocentric. We got a problem about your Afro, which is just like he said, that's a part of our culture. You know, I wasn't really raised to wear my hair high and tight. You know, that's what he's saying. I want to wear my Afro. I want to represent my people. I want to be proud of where I'm from. This is not a shame to me. And another thing with that is, you know, oftentimes they want you to fit into this box. You know, this is the culture, they say, for the United States. And then they say, well, you're against the rules. But like he said, I'm not so sure we were in mind when you made the rules. You know, we wear afros, we wear French braids, we wear dreadlocks, you know. What's that got to do with fighting a war? So there's a lot.
Yeah, you know, I can attest to that. And you know, one of the things that I think is hurting us too, that I've only heard a few people come forward and say, especially with exposure to Agent Orange, is that it's something that actually passes on through DNA. And what I think the VA needs to really start doing and tightening up on is giving out treatment to those that have survived, people that have been exposed to that. Not only that, to anthrax, to DDT. There was a lot of kids that they thought it was okay for them to play behind the trucks that were spraying, you know, these things that were pesticides once they became weaponized, like DDT. And I've seen people that I've been friends with, that I'm still friends with, that they'll still have the issues like the skin peeling, or, you know, having certain type of fits and stuff, just because of this is something that's been passed on. So, you know, I have complete empathy of what you're going through, brother. And, you know, his name is going to keep pushing on regardless. You know, we're strong people. You know, it's going to take a lot to hold us down. You know, it couldn't happen with chains, whips, you know, ships, you know, man-made, weaponized things that shouldn't be here in the first place. But, you know, it was that was a tough conflict that happened. And to still be looked at the way how we were looked at, even though it wasn't our issue, the only attachment that I had to it is something that is that, you know, just what I had mentioned that my friends would say about Agent Orange, because I really didn't know anything about it until they said something. And until later on in life with doing my own research, and of course for, you know, professional reasons and stuff. But, you know, hopefully that's something that the VA will take into consideration, because we don't know what the complete long-term effects are. And not only that, just the trauma, you know, the PTSD and things like that, for having to deal with not only just the war itself, but the way how your counterparts, your peers and stuff are treating you when you're supposed to be side by side with them at the same time. and having to put yourself in harm's way for somebody that doesn't even want you to wear your hair a certain type of way.
Right. Can you trust him? Can you rely on him to have your back when you're out here? You can go days. You can go days and months in a battle. You might not sleep for 2 days.
Right.
You're out here in this jungle. You need to know. You need to know that you know that you know that the guy next to you or the guy that's within the vicinity has got your back. But oftentimes some of them guys from different parts of the United States, they let it be known where they stood as it pertains to race relations, And so the brothers that were over there and made it back, I take my hat off, man. That was a hell of a accomplishment, because the odds were stacked against them. And so my father, back to him, So my birthday is, I'm not a big astrology guy, but I'm a Libra, which is the scale. That's my sign, the scale. And so is he. And he's just all about fairness. He doesn't like unfairness. So when he sees things that aren't right, when he saw things that aren't right, he will speak up. He's going to speak up for the small guy. He didn't like bullying. He didn't like a bunch of, just inadequate, positioning. He wanted fairness. And so the Marines, just like a lot of different organizations, fairness may not be what they're looking for. They just need you to be quiet and go out here and do what you're told. Sir, yes, sir, And, he was a soldier. He did his thing, but at the same time, he was looking to make a difference and change some things that needed to be addressed, needed to be changed.
Do you see yourself, as his son, carrying out probably personalities that he would have, or any actions that he would act out or manifest out? You mentioned having the same, astrology, as a Libra. Are there any other probably connections you see in yourself now, that he had?
Oh, I'm very much like my father in a myriad of ways, and his imprint is all over the way that I walk, the way I talk, the way that I carry myself, present myself. Even if we have some of the same ideologies about life. Now, we're not clones. He has some differences than I, but yes, I'm very similar to him in so many ways. But with that is a very good segue for my son, because, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. My father was an avid reader. When he was in grammar school, my mother tells me stories of him helping the science teacher in like 7th, 8th grade teach the class. Him and the science teacher really only two that engaged. Everybody else, and my father's having a ball in 7th grade. He could tell you the number. I don't remember the number, but it was several hundreds of, if not into the thousands, that he said that's how many books he's read. He said, do you understand that a book is nothing more than tiny bits and pieces of information. He says, now I would like to have as much information as I possibly can. So he spent his life reading books, studying great men, Genghis Khan, I was a great warrior to him, Marcus Garvey. He's reading all these different books. But I say that to say my son, Sylvester the Third over here, he's an avid reader, and he just graduated from Tufts University out in Boston with a degree of African studies. Yeah. But he used to go in his bedroom as a little boy, 6, 7 years old, under the covers with a flashlight, reading books. He's still an avid reader. I mean, the things that have been passed through the genes is phenomenal. I'm going to kind of segue and let him speak a little bit to where he sees his similarities to his granddad on that particular question, right? If that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Hey y'all, could you restate the question one more time just to make sure I'm answering that correctly?
It's just honestly segueing kind of from him to you at this point, because I was aiming towards seeing the similarities that he had with his father, so you've heard stories, obviously, of your grandfather and his personality traits, and so for you in your life, you're another generation from your life's experiences. Where do you feel you relate with your grandfather?
I think like my father said, I'm primarily a student. That has always been my passion. I've always wanted to learn as much about any and everything as I could. I remember, like, from an early age, my mission has been to know a little bit about a lot. So as many opportunities as I could get, I would just sit down and read. I remember, um, like he said, there was in third grade, I was reading like 600-page books just because, like, I could, just because I had the time. That's been my passion. And as I've grown, I've found that my interests have developed to the point that I've just wanted to learn as much as I could about Black people and the development of the Black world and the development of diaspora, which is why I'm now an Africana Studies major. And in researching that, and in researching the ways that Black people have changed the world since Blackness has come onto the world stage, I found a lot of similarities in between the two of us. So then, like, to see him on video, in a video like the one that we discovered this past week, that did a lot. Because it's one thing to hear somebody like talk about like what it was like in their prime, but then to see him in motion and to see like the role that he played among his people, it was really cool to see someone that you look up to, someone that like has filled this space like on the spot. And I'm not gonna toot my own horn and say that's me, but I will say that I felt as though like that's definitely I connected to that vision of my granddad.
That's really powerful. I definitely congrats again to you. It's a pleasure to know you, brother. And it's also an honor to also see what you've done in your life and what you're doing. Just keep on, paving it. What one thing is, as Black men, we have to keep on leaving things for the Black men that comes up behind us. So words of wise I would share for you, man, is just find ways to advocate with some of the younger brothers, that you may know, whether they're from home or from other places, so that they can, keep it rolling. Because society wants us to come down. They don't want us to come up. So that being the case, we gotta fight, not necessarily against society, but fight to make sure that we're arming our younger ones, so that they can, stand in the middle of a society that, is just kind of holding them back. Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing, I'm a social studies teacher.
Nice.
First 2 full-time classes this past summer. And that's exactly what I thought I wanted to do. That's on.
So there you go, right there. So yeah, that's enough said for me, Doc. That's the end of the show. We can. Oh man.
But yeah, thank you.
That's very cool. And just to say, my social studies teacher, you just from what you just said, and from your lineage and everything, like you have the potential, if you're not even already there, to be to hold a great stake in your student's life. Like from this point on into adulthood. My social studies teacher, he played ball with us after school, the whole nine, and made sure that we weren't just sitting there and being stagnant and just kept the wheels turning, because a lot of that has to do with how you proceed on in life. So, definitely shout out to you for that. And I guess my question would be, are you documenting part of your process, or do you plan on doing it so that you can leave something for your children later on, if you don't already have children now?
Yes. Part of my research this past year was a genealogy project.
Cool.
Took a course called African American History to 1865. That was my first, or up to 1865. And that was my first, like, dipping my toe into the pool of what genealogy was, slash, like, family histories. And then writing that paper led me to take family histories with my professor, Kendra Gill. Shout out to Kendra Gill. And therein, I decided to take a look at my family and to write a family history of, like, the earliest Black ancestors that I can get to on my mother's side of the family. That in and of itself, I think, is like the beginnings of what I would like to do in terms of, like, leaving a legacy for those that come after. I've gone as far back as I could get, at least for now. But I think that documenting our progress is inherently an important part of what will come for us in the future. We have to know where we come from to have a great sense of where we can go in the future.
There's something there, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's me. How about you?
I can talk about some of the Black people.
His back to
So yeah, I'm gonna have my other son speak a little later, but he's still developing in that area. So I want to just show you a little bit about how my father's impact. So you heard my son and what he's doing and where he's going in this current day.
Sure.
And mine is a little different. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and now I work, in corporate America. But I have a passion for the youth. So within my day to day, I've always, and I got this from my father as well as my grandfather on my mother's side, but I look for opportunity to help the youth that's coming behind me. So I've done different things, smaller things like coach Pee Wee League baseball and help coach a basketball. And I went and volunteered to mentor underprivileged children on the south and the west sides of Chicago, where the poverty is the most, it's the worst. I just recently volunteered to assist at a mentorship called Mach 1, where this guy teaches at-risk children how to everything about fixing cars, old classic vintage cars, and painting them, and interior and rooms and engines and all that. Well, I'm just volunteered to start working with him to teach these kids about resumes and how to dress for success and things of that nature. I go to grammar schools. I'm an artist in addition. My passion is art. So I go to grammar schools and I've done assemblies in front of the entire school, and I talk to the kids about finding what their passion is and following that. You don't necessarily have to be like Mike. You don't have to be like LeBron. You can be like you, whatever that thing is, and you go forth and you find it and develop and cultivate it and become great in that. I go to grammar schools and I teach the kids art. The teachers sometimes give me the classroom for an hour, and I just have tools for the kids to be artistic. Go and let's see what your vision is. And so my bottom line is, what I'm saying is, I interact with the children at a more granular level, but it's all about building up that self-esteem and showing them who they are and what they can be. In a one-to-one, not 1 to 30 or 1 to 100 type of setting. And that's pretty much what I do. But it comes from the influence of my father and my grandfathers before me. But my son, he has his own way of doing it. But just our family, that's kind of what we're about. We want to see the people get better. We want to see the people go farther and know that they have it within them, or we all have it within us, to become whatever that is that we choose to be. But I got that from him and my mom.
That's awesome. And you know what? And I was talking about this with somebody today. It's a sad thing where we have kids that go through school, and don't get that day to day. Every kid, I think we could all speak to, like when I was in school, I wasn't the greatest student. I was like teetering right above 2.0, and it ended up kind of following me out to my early college life until but it became that when I realized that I was doing something that wasn't me in the first place.
Yeah.
And there's a problem when you have kids that have to figure it out all on their own, because a lot of times you got these kids that are coming from places where you know they're just not. You mentioned Southside Chicago and other at risk. They're coming from places where they're figuring out other things out on their own, being challenged with obstacles that, quite frankly, aren't made for kids to be challenging at their age. So it's something beautiful to hear what you do, what your son is doing, what you're doing. And you said it, kids may not do art for their life, but at least they're being exposed to it. At
Absolutely.
least there's some type of exposure. And I feel like, especially in the African American community, I feel like for me myself, I'm filmmaking, cinematography. That's what I do.
Mhm.
We have this argument now about seeing more people of color in the entertainment industry.
Oh yeah.
But the reality is, there would be more people of color in the entertainment industry if we knew where we would fit in the entertainment industry. If we had somebody that would just come and tell us, hey, guess what? There's a lot more jobs than being a director, a cinematographer. You could be a marketer, you could be a key grip, you could be a best boy, you could be an assistant, you could be a marketer, you could be but we don't hear that every single day. And that's where I feel like, what you do, what's a big thing of what you're doing is something that just kind of needs to be spread about. I know this is being recorded, and I know somebody's going to look at this and see this, so if you're that person, you got something special you do, don't take that for granted. Find a young one, go to a school somewhere, talk about it. It may not be important to you, but it could probably save some money and give somebody another opportunity. So I thought I just would jump onto that while I had that opportunity just now.
Absolutely, man. When these kids are out here, like I told a coworker one day, who couldn't believe he's not from the same community that we're from, and I had to tell him because you see stuff on the news, and everybody knows right from wrong, and this is fun and stuff. And I had to tell him, I said, everybody don't have somebody to take them out in the backyard and play catch with them when they live. That doesn't happen for everybody. Everybody didn't get warm milk at night because they was crying and needed someone to rock them to sleep. That don't happen for everybody. Some people out here in these communities, man, it's rough. So when you see someone that looks like you that comes to the school and he's telling you, hey, you know what? This is a way that you can get away from all of that. Throw yourself into this art or whatever it is. That's refreshing. They may need someone to just, talk to them and hear them and show them something different. You never know the impact it has on those young ears, those young minds. And, my father was key in me having that type of mentality. And, like I said, my son he was a senior in college, at 20 or 21, and he was teaching high school kids. That's what? 5 years younger than you? They were freshmen. Okay, they were freshmen, but that's 14, he's 20. That's pretty close, but he was out there making a difference. So, I'm proud of that.
Yes, absolutely. And we are too. We are too, definitely. That's, when you're at that age too, that close age range, I remember having the substitutes too. And at that same age range, it's just like you have a better connection anyway. So who not better to do that than yourself? Just definitely shout out to you for that. So another thing I wanted to highlight too, I noticed I noticed that you're a pretty dope artist on the top of that. I seen some of the shoe designs, some of the abstracts. Give us a little something on that. I would love to see more, and let the viewers know where they can view it at, and just some descriptions of your work and some of the other stuff that we haven't seen as well.
Okay. So let me tell you about that. That's crazy because my father was an artist. He was a very good artist. And when I was about 21, 22, we ended up living together for a few years. And whereas people would come home from work and their father might be cutting the grass or in the garage or something, my father would be on the porch with a block of marble and a chisel and a hammer, carving out a marble sculpture. And I would talk to him and say, "Well, man, what do you know? What do you know about marble and sculpture?" He said, "I don't know anything. It's just I got an idea, and check me out in a couple of weeks. Check me out in a couple of months." And anyway, he chipped away, bada bing, bada bung. A few months, he's got a marble sculpture, and he painted on wood, and he painted all these different things, and I didn't have that talent. I could draw a little bit, superheroes and stuff when I was young, but nothing special. I wasn't the best guy in the class, but in my early 20s, I just decided to pick up a canvas and start painting. And it came out well. Someone saw it, told me about this auction. Anyway, I took it to this event, and someone bought it for $1,000. And when I realized you can make $1,000 off that, and I haven't turned back since then. So what happened was I used to exhibit in galleries, and some of my stuff has been in galleries and private residences all around the country, and even over in Cuba. I've been in the Museum of Science and Industry here in Chicago, DuSable Museum. It's been featured all around the country. But with the galleries, they tax you, you do this work, and they may say, well, if it sells, we'll take 50%. So I stopped doing that. I started doing private shows, and that's kind of where I am now. Most of the people who bought art from me, they have to know someone who knows me. It's kind of an exclusive type of little thing. I do a lot of, law firms, and it's custom work for people who know people who know me. But just recently, after my father passed, because he always encouraged me to do more of my art. So now that he's gone, I'm starting to get an Instagram presence. I'm going to do some blogging, and I'm going to start getting more exposure to my art, because everything he told me about my art, he was right. And so, like right behind me, there's a couple of pieces I did. Every piece of art in my home is something that I've done, and I've accumulated several dozens of art, and I pack it up and go do a show. If someone wants me to do a show, or I just do custom work. But stay tuned. I'm about to try to do a lot more out here.
What's your at? You say your Instagram.
Oh, yeah, my Instagram name is SC Bracey, BRACEYII. That's for two, Sylvester Bracey Jr. Stop.
Get it right, kids. Make sure he's plugging that.
That's right. They got your back. And like, give him the IG, Dad.
That's part of it. Like they can't follow you.
That's what's up,
man.
That's
a good deal.
Nah, and you know what? Honestly, that is so dope to me. Because I appreciate art and its many forms. And right now is one of the best times anyway. I mean, we're waiting for some type of renaissance to come through. We're already in a I would say more of a cultural renaissance. Hopefully it does something like how the Harlem Renaissance was back in the early part of the 1900s and whatnot, and it exposed more things like jazz music, like graphic arts, like what you're doing and whatnot. But again, for the people to get where they can check your stuff out again, please give that social media handle one more time, please.
That's SC Bracey, IISC Braceii.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, Jasper, did you have anything, brother?
No, nothing on my end, man. I'm just happy to meet you guys and hear your awesome story
Yeah.
and seeing what you guys are definitely doing. You know, there's some people that you see they have ulterior motive pushing them behind whatever they do. And just kind of sitting here talking with you guys. This is your identity. There's the and I even mentioned it today in one of my lives. Just how sometimes we got to have a task for our life and just say we're gonna go for that task until the end. Win, lose or draw, we gotta live by this, die by this, and just do it. No matter what we get out of it, no matter who's watching. Because at the end of the day, somebody's gonna gain something from it, and it's just a pleasure to hear you guys, and definitely gonna be checking out that art on IG as well.
Mhm.
So you got to follow me coming up on my on my end as well. So definitely, keep on doing what you're doing, man.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I look forward to where this is going to go. It's a passion. It's not work for me, and ultimately, I would like to spend all of my time, doing my artistic ventures and doing my creative writing. And then we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But I'm definitely all in it now. I hear my father's voice, him urging me, and he tells me all the time, art is where it's at. That's your gift. That's your passion. You need to follow that. Because, at the end of the day, we spend 40, 50, some people 60 hours a week at these jobs. You gotta eat, you gotta pay the bill. Everybody's hungry around here. We gotta feed the mouths. But at the same time, like you said, there comes a point in time where you say, you know what? I'm about to go all in on this, and we're gonna see where it goes. And I think that's where I am at this point. I'm not getting any younger, and I got something to say through my the viewpoint of my art, and I hope people like it. So we'll see.
Very cool. Now, I want to double back to this too. So the marble that your dad was chiseling, what did he make of that? And I'm very curious to see what he made out of it. I'm pretty sure it was something very
cool. It's super cool. It was so it's a marble block that's maybe 12 inches tall, 12 inches wide, 12 inches deep. Okay, so it's got a face on the north, south, east, west, and then there's a face at the top, and all around it on the different sides of it, like there was scenes of scenes, and I guess you would call it like Africa, but it wasn't Africa. So it would be a man with his African garb on, and he's got like a hut, and he's got the trees with all the leaves, and he's got the vines, and he's got people in the community on one side, and then it goes all the way around, basically this panoramic view of his imagination of what this motherland would be like. But it wouldn't be just like what you saw in a history book. It was from his perspective, and it was super cool. But then after he chiseled it, he took different like gems and little diamonds and things, and put them in different spots on the marble. It was very eclectic and artistic, and like I said, it really. I mean, he chiseled that thing. It's cool. I can't. Well, I haven't tried to work in marble, but from the outside looking in, it's a very meticulous hand, and to be able to do that and then sand it and have it 3-dimensional coming out of the marble with no experience and not look whack. It was cool. It was
cool. I'm sure it took a lot of time out of him.
Oh yeah. But with him, that time, that was like a vacation. He was at peace when he was doing, and that's how I am when I'm working on my paintings. You know, I may disappear for 10 hours. You know, but within that 10 hours, it felt like I've been doing this for 10 minutes because I'm in it, and these thoughts are coming, and I have this, okay, maybe I'll add some this to that, and when you're in it, that's your space. Yeah. And I got that from him. You know, that's just the passion taking over, and he spent hours, hundreds of hours, or thousands of hours on that. He's got a lot of pieces, though. He's got a lot of pieces, and he left them for these guys to have. So we're passing those down the line, talking about the grandfather of the artist. You know.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So I think that when it comes to representation, that I think that's something truly. That you'll definitely be able to pass on as well. As we both said, I hope to see more from you. Hope that we can do this, you know, more than one time. Perhaps we could probably help with pushing the message out even more, just with this interview, or maybe even future interactions as well. Again, Jasper, do you have anything, brother?
Nah, man, I'm just enjoying it all. Just a light question. Out of the three of y'all, this is something that can, I guess, show the competitiveness that may exist with. But out of the three of y'all, who would you say is probably the one that has the most swag, the swagger cool side of, you know, like you guys kind of all seem to have a pretty, y'all all have that cool demeanor, but you know, who do you think is the coolest out of the three of y'all?
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
of course you're gonna say you because you're dad.
The absolute king of cool is my old man. Like, I've never met another guy cool as him. But I will say, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm just gonna call it like it is, you know, I got next. You know what I'm saying?
I can't see now. Oh man. See that's what I'm saying. It's not when dad says, yeah, I'm the coolest guy in the house. Of course you're gonna say that. It's your house.
No, they cool. But you know, yeah. Like my youngest said, he's underrated. He's the most underrated. But you know, in another 10 years or something, they might knock me off. You know, right now I'm standing on it.
This is definitely a bias review. It's all good.
Don't see that.
Oh man, good deal.
That's what's up. Hey man, but I appreciate it, you know, and on my father's behalf, you know, and the boys and me, and this comes straight from the father, man. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you brothers, and definitely with my father being the focal point of this interview. And hey man, I'm flattered. I'm absolutely flattered, and I appreciate this more than words can say.
Hey, likewise, brother, and hopefully when this quarantine lifts up, next time I'm out at Taste of Chicago or something, hit you up, let you know I'm out there.
Oh man, it's on. Most definitely, man. We'll make that happen.
It's not going to be during the winter, though. Last time I was in Chicago, it was during the winter, and I said, this is not happening again.
It could be the summertime, just jumping out at O'Hare Airport, and if that wind is kicking, it'll feel like winter.
It's like I'm back on the plane.
What was I thinking? It's at its days, man. Unfortunately, right now, it's been hot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's been hot. But yeah, Chicago's got that crazy weather, man. But I love it, man. It's collectively what this town is and represent what it has to offer collectively, man. I love this place, man. You know, we get a what do they call it? a bad deal on the news. You know, there's a lot of, you know, we get some violence out there, but it's not all bad, man. It's not all bad. There's a lot of good people in this city, man. And unfortunately, we just don't get to see hear those stories in the media outlets. But it's a lot of good brothers, good sisters out in this town making a difference.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I visited a couple of times, but anywhere that I went, especially being an out of towner, even in some of the studios, it's just like, yo, I don't even know if I should even be here. Everybody was just cool. It was just like, hey, you know, you want to go to Harold's real quick? You know, you want to do that? Made me feel at home. So I've got nothing but love for Chicago.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Appreciate it, man. So, hey, I guess we wrapping it up. Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what I will do is, you know, when we're all set, ready to go, I'll shoot out a copy of this to you, and yeah, that's us wrapping it. Jasper, I see you back in the studio.